It's a celebration day here in the 2024 Tour de France. Here in Torino, ending the three-stage run in Italy, and a reason for celebration, a reason for history being made. No, it wasn't Mark Cavendish scoring win number 35. He was held up in a crash in the final kilometers. Instead, it was the first Eritrean win in the Tour de France, the first Black African, the first Black cyclist to ever win in the 100-plus years of the Tour de France. Biniam Girmay, winner from Team Intermarché. He scored a big one back in the day in the 2022 Ghent-Wevelgem. Then the first Black African to win in a classic, now making his mark in the Tour de France. A huge day out and kind of a surprise when many of us were focusing on Jasper Philipsen, Wout van Aert, Mads Pedersen, and Dylan Groenewegen. Instead, it was Biniam Girmay surprising everyone. And another bit of history was made today because it wasn't Tadej Pogacar in the yellow jersey for a second day in a row after he got it in Bologna yesterday. It was Ecuadorian rider, winner of the Giro d'Italia back in the day a few years ago, Richard Carapaz from EF Education, Easy Post. Yes, the first Ecuadorian cyclist to pull on the Maillot Jaune yellow jersey. You're asking, well, how was that possible? They were all on the same time. Well, when all the riders are on the same time and we haven't had a time trial to get those micro milliseconds, they do the placings in the bunch finish, cumulative placings over the last 2 days in this case. And Richard Carapaz, his team, as you would have saw, led by Alberto Bettiol, they were charging in the last kilometers to set Richard Carapaz up for that historic moment. And we saw Tadej Pogacar not interested in it, and Remco Evenepoel right there with him to make sure he didn't lose 3 spots, which would have put him in the yellow jersey had he been 3 spots ahead of Tadej Pogacar. Instead, it was over to Richard Carapaz to make history. But at the sharp end of the race, it was our Eritrean rider doing a fabulous bit of work today. Now, they had 2 sprinters in the group, and today it was going to be for Biniam Girmay because their other sprinter was not well placed coming into the 2 final left-hand corners. And instead, well, a bit of thunder, lightning, fortunately is happening now and not when the riders came in for the sprint. Again, it was turned over to Biniam Girmay. The other team sprinter wasn't the man to do it today, and so it's going to be Biniam Girmay to get his shot at making history. We saw Lidl Trek up there. We saw Lotto Destiny up there. Lotto Destiny working for the Belgian champion, Arnaud Delis, and we saw Lidl Trek working for Mads Pedersen. All those riders were setting up for a sprint with Uno X in the mix as well, setting things up. Coming down the right-hand side is Biniam Girmay making the move on the right-hand side to really get the surprise, throwing his arms up into the air, ahead of Colombian Fernando Gaviria, ahead of Arnaud Delis, the Belgian champion of Lotto Destiny, Mads Pedersen 4th, Dylan Groenewegen 5th place, Phil Bauhaus in 6th. And if we're looking at the GC now, it's Richard Carapaz on top of Tadej Pogacar and Remco Evenepoel with Jonas Vingegaard in 4th place. In the 230-kilometer stage, the longest stage of this year's Tour de France, it was no escape for the whole day. We saw early one try, but that wasn't to be. The sprint teams didn't want to let a significant move go free because they wanted to control everything. Anything over 3 to 4 riders, they would bring back. So we didn't see an escape all day. We did see a move towards the end by Total Energy rider, but that didn't last long. Instead, we saw the sprint team setting things up and a little bit of incidents along the way. With 13 kilometers out, Casper Pedersen from Soudal Quickstep had a bad crash. Then we saw a mechanical for Van der Poel, Mathieu Van der Poel of Team De Koenig, and he would have been doing the lead out for Jasper Philipsen. He had a mechanical, wasn't able to compete up there, trying to get back the world champion. And then our focus to turn to that nasty crash at 2.3 kilometers out. And in that crash, we saw a couple of Israel Premier Tech riders. We also saw Mark Cavendish getting held up, and he wasn't able to compete. I think that was Davide Ballerini up there, the Astana rider that was in the sprint today. But today, it was all about history being made. For Biniam Girmay, showed so much promise when he won Ghent-Wevelgem in 2022. Now today, after years of trying, after coming close last year, he gets it. And we spoke to the Team DS over there and to the riders, and they said he is now going to be the king of Eritrea, the king of Africa. And in fact, yes, we always see the Eritrean flags waving around, the fans always super excited to support their rider. And we can just imagine the madness that'll be around Biniam Girmay when we start stage 4 of the 2024 Tour de France tomorrow. But tonight, it's celebration for Girmay, the first Eritrean to win a stage, the first Black cyclist to win a stage in the Tour de France, and the first Ecuadorian cyclist, Richard Carapaz, to pull on the yellow jersey here in Torino at the Tour de France.